come, Gideon! Her pulse is fading!
My king, she's Sebastian's rejected mate. If you mark her, every Alpha will feel it. If I leave her like this, she dies. Then let them feel it. Sebastian will come. Then let him.
Alpha King Lucian Blackwell had 10 seconds to decide whether the woman dying in the snow was worth losing his crown. She was not his mate. She was not his Luna. She belonged to the one Alpha he hated most, Sebastian Sterling. And tonight, Sebastian had rejected her, abandoned her, and left her in Frostfang Forest to die. Lucian dropped to one knee beside her. Her pulse was fading. Her wolf was silent. A black rejection wound was spreading across her neck. There was only one way to save her. And it was the one thing an Alpha King was forbidden to do. He would have to place the king's mark on another Alpha's rejected mate. Behind him, Captain Gideon whispered, "My king, if you mark her, every Alpha in the kingdom will feel it." Lucian never looked away from the woman. "She'll die if I don't. And Sebastian will come for her if you do." Lucian's jaw tightened. "Then let him." He pressed his palm over her heart. Silver light exploded through the snow. Miles away, wolves stopped. Alphas woke. Temple bells began ringing. And inside Mooncrest Keep, Sebastian Sterling dropped the glass in his hand. Because every wolf in the kingdom had just felt the impossible. The Alpha King had marked his enemy's rejected mate, and before sunrise, everyone would be asking the same question. Why? The answer had begun before Lucian placed his hand over her heart, and it started with blood in the snow. 6 hours earlier, Lucian did not know her name. He only knew someone was bleeding in his forest, and whoever had left her there expected the cold to finish the job. That was how the night truly began. Lucian's horse stopped first. Blood, wolfsbane, and beneath both, the sharp bitterness of a fresh rejection. Lucian dismounted. One weak breath came from the trees. He followed it into a clearing. A woman lay beside a frozen stream. Her eyes opened when his boots touched the snow. "Don't." Lucian stopped. "Don't what?" "Don't pretend you're here to help." Her voice was weak. The anger was not. "Can you stand?" "No." "Can you shift?" Her face changed. "No." Lucian looked at the burn around her neck. A mate rejection left pain. This looked like poison. "What happened?" She laughed once. "I was chosen in front of 1,000 wolves." Lucian waited, then rejected in front of the same 1,000. "Who?" She looked away. Lucian saw the broken silver crest at her throat. Mooncrest, Sebastian Sterling. Her eyes snapped back to him. She had not said the name. She did not need to. A howl rolled through the trees. The woman closed her eyes. "Rogues." "How many?" "I stopped counting." Lucian drew his sword. "You should leave," she whispered. "Why?" "They want me." "Then they have a problem." Amber eyes appeared between the pines. 3, 5, 9. The largest rogue stepped forward, scar over one eye. He looked past Lucian. "There she is." The woman went still. The rogue smiled. "Mooncrest threw you far enough this time." Lucian's expression hardened. "You know her?" "We know what she is." The rogue pointed at her. "Rejected. Packless. Nothing." Behind flinched. The rogue laughed. "Move, Blackwell. She's abandoned property." Lucian raised his sword. "No woman becomes property because a coward rejects her." The rogue lunged. Steel flashed. He hit the snow, clutching his shoulder. Lucian could have killed him. He didn't. The others froze. "You came hunting someone who couldn't fight back," Lucian said. "Now you have someone who can." One by one, the rogues retreated. The woman stared at Lucian. "You spared him. He'll remember." "Why?" "Because being stronger than someone is not permission to become cruel." Something shifted in her face. Then she collapsed. Lucian caught her. Her skin was freezing. Too fast. He pulled back the edge of her collar. Black veins were spreading from the rejection wound. This was not normal. Someone had poisoned the bond. Her eyes opened. "My wolf." "What about her?" "She's gone." Then horns sounded beyond the trees. Mooncrest horns. The woman grabbed Lucian's wrist. Fear finally entered her eyes. "He sent them." "Sebastian?" She nodded. "Not to bring me back." Her fingers tightened. "To make sure I never reach anyone alive." Then the reason for Sebastian's cruelty emerged. Captain Gideon reached them with 6 royal guards. One look at the woman stopped him. "My king? That's Evangeline Hawthorne." Lucian turned. "You know her?" "Everyone does. She was supposed to become Mooncrest Luna." Evangeline gave a bitter smile. "Supposed to." The horn sounded again. Closer. Gideon looked toward the ridge. "We move now." Lucian offered Evangeline his hand. Her body stiffened. No. He pulled his hand back immediately. All right. She looked surprised. Lucian spread a blanket over his horse. You ride, I walk. You'll walk through this storm? Yes, you're the king, I've been told. For half a second, she almost smiled. Then pain hit. Lucian waited until she steadied herself. No one touches you unless you ask. But we leave now. She nodded. They moved north. Lucian walked beside the horse. After a few minutes, he asked, why would Sebastian reject the woman he planned to make Luna? He said I was weak. Are you? Evangeline looked at him. No. Then why? Because yesterday I found something he didn't want me to find. Gideon looked over. What? A ledger. Lucian slowed. Money, names, dates, payments. To whom? Council members, border captains, Alpha families. What were they being paid for? Evangeline hesitated. My parents. Lucian stopped. Her father had been Alpha of Silver Hollow. His family died 20 years ago and Mooncrest took the territory. You think the ledger proves they were murdered? I know it does. And Sebastian knew you found it? He walked into the archive while I was copying the pages. What did he do? He smiled. That's all? Sebastian smiles when he's already decided what happens next. Lucian resumed walking. Where are the copies? In my room, behind a loose stone. Then why reject you publicly instead of killing you quietly? Evangeline's face hardened. He told the pack I was unstable, delusional, that I invented the murder accusation because I couldn't handle becoming Luna. Gideon's jaw tightened. He destroyed your credibility first, then rejected me and sent me into the forest. Lucian looked at the black veins on her neck. How did he silence your wolf? I don't know. Think. Evangeline closed her eyes. There was a woman beside him during the rejection. Hooded. What did she do? She handed Sebastian a small black vial. Lucian and Gideon exchanged a look. Evangeline saw it. What? Gideon answered. Wolfsbane can weaken a wolf. Lucian finished. Mixed with binding ash during a forced rejection, it can silence one. Evangeline went pale. You've seen it? Once, Gideon said. What happened? He did not answer. Evangeline understood. They died. Lucian's voice turned hard. You're not dying. She gave him a weak laugh. Kings can order death now? No. He looked at her, but I can refuse to cooperate with it. Mooncrest riders appeared on the ridge. 20. Their commander raised a hand. By order of Alpha Sebastian Sterling, return Evangeline Hawthorne. Lucian stepped into the road. On what charge? She stole Mooncrest property. Evangeline laughed. 20 armed men for stolen property? The commander looked away. Lucian saw the fear. So Sebastian didn't tell you why you're here. The commander said nothing. Lucian took one step forward. Tell your Alpha he can bring his accusation before the crown. The commander's jaw tightened. He said she does not reach the citadel. Lucian's wolf pushed against his skin. If one of you touches her, you answer to me. The commander lowered his hand. The riders backed away. Lucian turned. Evangeline gasped. She fell from the horse. Lucian caught her. This time she did not resist. She couldn't. The black veins had reached her jaw. Gideon touched her neck and pulled his hand back. My king. Lucian looked at him. They both knew they would not reach the citadel in time. But Evangeline was running out of time fast. They carried Evangeline into an abandoned watchtower. Her breathing came in short pulls. Gideon knelt beside her. How long? Lucian asked. Minutes. Evangeline opened her eyes. That sounds inconvenient. Lucian did not smile. Fix it. Gideon looked at him. I can't. There has to be something. Gideon hesitated. There is. Lucian knew. Evangeline looked between them. What? A ruling Alpha's mark can stabilize a poisoned rejection, Gideon said. Then do it. I can't. I'm not a ruling Alpha. Her eyes moved to Lucian. What happens if he does? Lucian answered. Every pack feels a king's mark. That's not what I asked. Because Sebastian rejected you as his future Luna, the old law still treats your bond as contested. Meaning, if I mark you, Sebastian can invoke blood right. The council can accuse me of using the crown to steal another Alpha's rejected mate. What happens to you? I could lose the throne. Evangeline stared at him. No. You asked. I'm not letting you lose a kingdom because Sebastian poisoned me. That is not your decision. Her eyes flashed. Men keep saying that tonight. Lucian stopped. She was right. He moved his hand away. It is your decision. Gideon glanced at him. My king, we don't have time. Lucian looked only at Evangeline. If you do not want the mark, I will not give it. And if I say no, you may die. If I say yes, you live. What does the mark make me to you? Protected. Owned? No. Your mate? No. Your Luna? No. Then why is the law afraid of it? Because kings once used marks to take women, land, and succession rights from rival alphas. Evangeline's eyes held his. So the law protects alphas. Mostly. Not women. Lucian's jaw tightened. No. Her pulse weakened. Gideon whispered, now. Lucian still waited. Evangeline took his wrist, placed his palm over her heart. Do it. Lucian hesitated. Evangeline whispered his name. Lucian. The first time she had said it. Do it. Silver light exploded beneath his hand. Evangeline screamed. The light climbed her chest and struck the black rejection wound. The dark veins cracked apart. Outside, royal guards dropped to one knee. Miles away, wolves lifted their heads. Alphas woke. Temple bells began ringing. Inside Mooncrest Keep, Sebastian Sterling dropped his glass. The hooded woman beside him stood. Seraphine Vale, daughter of one of the most powerful alpha families in the kingdom. The woman the council had spent 2 years trying to make Lucian marry. Sebastian grabbed the table. He marked her. Seraphine went pale. That's impossible. You said the poison would kill her. It should have. Sebastian's anger vanished. A smile replaced it. Then Lucian has done half our work for us. Seraphine stared. What do you mean? By sunrise, no one will be asking why I rejected her. He looked toward the northern mountains. They'll be asking whether Lucian deserves to remain king. Back in the watchtower, Evangeline's eyes opened. Then she heard something she had not heard since the rejection. A growl. Inside her. Her wolf. Weak, angry, alive. Tears filled her eyes. Lucian leaned closer. Can you hear her? Evangeline nodded. Then something hit Lucian through the mark. A memory. Sebastian holding the black vial. A woman's hand passing it to him. A silver ring on that hand. Royal Council crest. Lucian stood. Gideon saw his face. What? Lucian looked toward the citadel. Sebastian didn't do this alone. Evangeline's wolf growled again. The person who helped him is waiting inside my court. By dawn, Lucian's impossible choice had become public knowledge. The citadel gates opened before dawn. No one cheered. They smelled the mark. Evangeline rode through the gates beside Lucian. Warriors stared. Servants stopped walking. One guard whispered, the king marked her. Another answered, Sebastian's rejected mate. An elderly man pushed through the crowd. Magnus Sterling, senior member of the Royal Council. Sebastian's uncle. He saw Evangeline, then the silver mark at her neck. His face strained. You marked her. Lucian answered, yes. Undo it. No, Magnus lowered his voice. Sebastian can invoke blood right. I know. The Pax will say you used royal power to claim his rejected Luna. She was dying. That will not matter to everyone. It matters to me. Magnus stared at him. The law is older than your crown. Lucian stepped closer. And she is alive. Magnus looked at Evangeline. For 1 second, fear crossed his face. Evangeline saw it. So did Lucian. Magnus turned. Council chamber. 1 hour he left. Evangeline watched him go. He knows. Lucian looked at her. About the ledger? Maybe more. Gideon said Magnus was one of Sebastian's father's closest allies. Evangeline touched the broken pendant at her throat. My father never trusted him. Lucian looked at it. Why? I don't know. Then we find out. A healer approached. She needs rest. Evangeline shook her head. Someone here helped poison me. I'm not sleeping until I know who. Lucian studied her. Hours earlier, she had accepted death. Now she wanted answers. All right. They entered the inner hall. Halfway up the stairs, Evangeline stopped. A woman crossed the balcony above them. Dark hair, silver dress, royal council ring. Evangeline's wolf slammed against her chest. Her. Lucian looked up. The hooded woman? I never saw her face. Then how? My wolf remembers the scent. They ran upstairs. The balcony was empty, but a black vial lay beside a pillar. Gideon picked it up with a cloth. Evangeline went cold. That's what Sebastian used. Footsteps sounded behind them. Lady Seraphine Vale stood at the end of the corridor. Her eyes moved from Lucian to Evangeline. Then the vial. You should not have brought her here. Lucian stepped forward. Interesting choice of words. Seraphine smiled. A rejected woman has no place in the royal residence. Evangeline stared at her. You were there. Seraphine's smile disappeared. You gave Sebastian the poison. Before she could answer, bells exploded across the citadel. 3 strikes. Emergency. A messenger raced into the courtyard below. Mooncrest has crossed the eastern border. Lucian looked down. How many? Sebastian brought 3 allied packs. Seraphine smiled again. Not because she was surprised, because she had been waiting for it. Lucian turned toward her. You knew. She said nothing. She did not need to. But Sebastian's real weapon was already inside. Lucian had Seraphine taken to the council chamber. Magnus arrived furious. You arrested Lady Vale? Lucian placed the black vial on the table. It was found 10 feet from her. Seraphine laughed. Excellent evidence. Gideon opened a healer's report. Wolfsbane, Silverroot, Binding Ash. Several elders murmured. One asked, Binding Ash? Used during forced bond severance, enough can silence a wolf. Magnus looked at Seraphine. She shrugged. Anyone could own such a vial. Evangeline stepped forward. My wolf remembers your scent. Convenient, not proof. Evangeline reached for the broken pendant at her neck. But this might be. She snapped open the back. A thin strip of paper slid into her palm. 3 names, 3 dates, 3 payments, 1 royal council seal. Magnus stopped breathing. Lucian looked at her. You had that? I didn't know. My father hid it inside the pendant. Magnus recovered. A scrap of paper proves nothing. Evangeline looked at him. I found the ledger because this same symbol was scratched into its cover. Lucian took the paper. The first name was Sebastian's father. The second was Lord Vale. The third was Magnus Sterling. Payment stated 3 days before the Silver Hollow massacre. Lucian's voice became quiet. You were paid. Magnus straightened. Careful. Were you? No. Seraphine stood. This is absurd. Evangeline turned to her. Then tell me why my parents had your father's name hidden around my neck. Seraphine's face tightened. Tell me why Sebastian knew I had found the ledger. Silence. Tell me why you stood beside him while he poisoned my rejection. Seraphine snapped. Because you were supposed to die with your parents. The chamber froze. Even Magnus closed his eyes. Evangeline did not move. Say that again. Seraphine's face hardened. Silver Hollow refused unification. Your father was warned. So you murdered them. Our fathers prevented a war. I was 6. You were supposed to be with them. Lucian moved. Gideon caught his arm. My king. Lucian stopped. Barely. Evangeline looked at Magnus. You knew I survived. He said nothing. That's why Sebastian was promised to me. Lucian understood. Mooncrest needed her claim to Silver Hollow. Magnus's eyes hardened. Silver Hollow no longer exists. Evangeline's wolf struck her chest. It exists if I'm alive. Fear flashed across Magnus's face. A messenger burst through the doors. Sebastian has reached the lower valley. Lucian turned. How long? Less than an hour. Magnus laughed. Everyone looked at him. You still think this is about one rejected woman? Lucian's eyes narrowed. Sebastian has Mooncrest. Harlan backs him. Vale backs him. 2 council votes are secured. Gideon's face changed. A coup. Magnus smiled. Call it whatever helps you sleep. He looked at Lucian. By sunset, you will either renounce the king's mark and surrender Evangeline. Then he looked at her. Or you will no longer be king. Evangeline expected Lucian to answer. He did not. He was looking at Magnus's hand. At the silver royal council ring, the same ring from her memory. Then Lucian noticed something beneath Magnus's fingernail. A dark powder. Binding ash. The enemy was not only inside his court. The enemy was leading it. Then the man behind everything finally reached Lucian's gates. Sebastian arrived before noon with 300 wolves. He did not attack. He wanted witnesses. Lucian stood on the outer wall, Gideon beside him. Evangeline came up the stairs. Lucian looked at her. You should be inside. No. You're still healing. So is my patience. Gideon turned away to hide a smile. Sebastian rode forward alone. He looked up and saw Evangeline. His face changed. Not relief. Ownership. You survived. Evangeline leaned against the stone. Disappointed? A few Mooncrest warriors looked at one another. Sebastian's jaw tightened. Come home. She laughed. Loud enough for the valley to hear. I don't have a home in Mooncrest. You are still bound to my pack. You rejected me. I can reverse it. No. Sebastian looked at Lucian. You hear that? She is unstable. Lucian said, she sounds clear to me. Sebastian raised his voice. Lucian Blackwell has violated sacred law. He marked a woman another ruling Alpha rejected. Murmurs spread. He used the crown to interfere in Mooncrest's succession. Lucian answered. I used the mark to stop your poison from killing her. Sebastian smiled. Prove it. Gideon held up the vial. We can. A ripple moved through Sebastian's ranks. His smile tightened. Then he changed direction. She stole Mooncrest records. Evangeline said, records proving your family murdered mine. That hit harder. Mooncrest wolves began whispering. Sebastian shouted, lies. Then let them read the ledger. Silence. For the first time, Sebastian looked afraid. Magnus appeared on the wall behind them. The council will hear both claims at sunset. Lucian turned. He had not summoned him. Magnus continued. Under blood right. The valley erupted. Sebastian drew a ceremonial blade. At sunset, the council will decide whether Lucian Blackwell remains Alpha King. Evangeline looked at Lucian. Magnus addressed him. You may avoid judgment by renouncing the king's mark. Sebastian looked up at Evangeline. Return her to Mooncrest, and I withdraw. Lucian's voice carried across the valley. No, Sebastian smiled. You would risk civil war for her? Lucian answered. I would risk it to stop men like you deciding whose life matters. A horn sounded on the western ridge. More wolves appeared. Harlan, then Vale. Sebastian had his coalition. Evangeline looked down. They're using me to take your crown. They were waiting for an excuse. If you remove the mark, do you keep the crown? Lucian did not answer. Lucian, yes, and the armies leave? Maybe. What happens to me? The mark is holding your wolf stable. If you remove it, it could silence her again. Could it kill me? Lucian's jaw tightened. Yes. Evangeline looked at the wolves below. Then at him. Do it. No. It's my choice. No. Anger flashed across her face. You told me my life belongs to me. It does. Then let me choose. Lucian stepped closer. You are choosing from guilt. I am choosing to prevent a war. If you walk out because you want freedom, I will open the gates myself. His voice dropped. But if you walk out because men convinced you your life is worth less than my crown, I will not help that lie kill you. Evangeline stared at him. Through the mark, she felt Lucian's fear. Not of losing the throne, of losing her. And for the first time, she feared losing him too. Below them, Sebastian raised his sword. Sunset. Then he turned away. The armies pulled back. Evangeline watched them go. We need the original ledger. I know where I hid it. Lucian immediately said, no. Without it, Magnus calls the copy a forgery. Then we find another way. Lucian stepped closer. I would rather lose a crown than send you back into Sebastian's fortress. Evangeline looked at Gideon. Is he always this difficult since birth? Lucian glared at him. Gideon smiled. But you don't have to go. He pulled a Mooncrest seal from his coat. I know 3 elders who are already tired of Sebastian. By sunset, Lucian had to choose. The Hall of Moons was full before sunset. Some alphas backed Lucian, others wanted him removed. Most waited to see who would win. Sebastian stood beside the council. Magnus stood in the center. Seraphine stood free at his side. Lucian saw her and understood. They were no longer hiding the coup. Evangeline entered beside him. The whispers started. Rejected. Marked. Silver Hollow. Sebastian watched her walk. He expected shame. She gave him none. Magnus struck his staff against the floor. Lucian Blackwell, you are charged with violating the sacred mark law. Lucian stood. I marked Evangeline Hawthorne. Gasps. Magnus almost smiled. You admit it. Completely. Lucian continued. I marked her because Sebastian Sterling poisoned her rejection and left her to die. Sebastian snapped. Lies. Gideon held up the vial. Royal healers tested it, Magnus said. A vial proves no owner. Evangeline spoke. My wolf remembers who handed it to him. Seraphine laughed. Convenient. Evangeline looked at her. So was leaving the same poison inside Lucian's citadel. Magnus struck the floor. The charge concerns Lucian. Of course, Evangeline said. You'd rather discuss the law he broke than the murder your family committed. The hall erupted. Magnus shouted, enough. Then he faced Lucian. The law offers one remedy. Renounce the mark. Submit Evangeline to neutral custody until Mooncrest's claim is decided. Sebastian smiled. Everyone knew what neutral custody meant. Magnus continued. Do this, and the council recognizes your throne. Lucian looked around the hall. 12 years of rule came down to one answer. Magnus said, choose. Lucian did not hesitate. No. The room exploded. Magnus stared. You understand what you are saying? Yes. You would surrender the crown? If keeping it requires handing an innocent woman back to men who tried to kill her, yes. Even Sebastian stopped smiling. Magnus leaned forward. You would destroy the stability of this kingdom for one woman? Lucian's voice stayed calm. No. He looked around the hall. I would refuse to build stability on her grave. Silence. Evangeline stared at him. He had chosen. Not ownership, not pride, her right to live. Magnus lifted his staff, then by authority of the Royal Council. Stop. Evangeline's voice cut through the hall. Every face turned. She stepped away from Lucian, alone. Sebastian smiled. There she is. The cause of all this. Evangeline looked at him. You still think this is about me? It always was. No. Her voice carried through the chamber. This is about every wolf who was told someone stronger gets to decide whether they matter. Sebastian's jaw tightened. You were nothing before me. Evangeline almost smiled. Keep talking. You were an orphan, packless. I gave you a future. You stole my future. Murmurs spread. Evangeline turned to the Alphas. My parents did not die in a rogue attack. Magnus snapped. You have no proof. Evangeline looked toward the doors. Then I hope you enjoy surprises. The doors opened. 3 Mooncrest elders walked in. Sebastian went pale. The first carried the original ledger. Gideon leaned toward Lucian. Turns out Sebastian has been making enemies longer than we have. The elder placed the ledger on the table. Magnus stared at it. For the first time all day, he looked afraid. Evangeline stepped forward. Now let's talk about who really broke the kingdom's laws. But Evangeline was done letting others decide everything. The Mooncrest elder opened the ledger. Every page hurt. Payments before the Silver Hollow massacre. Border orders, guard rotations, property transfers. Then one entry from the morning of Evangeline's rejection. Binding ash. Wolfsbane. Witness, Seraphine Veil. The hall changed. Sebastian stepped forward. My father's crimes are not mine. The elder turned a page. Your signature. Another page. Your seal. Another. Your order to open the northern gate after Evangeline was cast out. Sebastian looked toward his warriors. They were no longer watching Lucian. They were watching him. Evangeline felt her wolf rise. Sebastian pointed at her. She stole from Mooncrest. You murdered my family. I was a child. You grew up. I protected what my father built. With my blood. Sebastian's control broke. You should have died with them. Silence. Evangeline stared at him. The truth. Finally. Spoken by him. Her wolf surged. A silver howl ripped from her chest. Power struck the floor. Pack crests carved into the walls began glowing. Magnus whispered, Silver Hollow. Lucian stared at Evangeline. So did she. Her bloodline had not disappeared. It had been drugged, buried, but it was alive. Sebastian stepped back. Evangeline saw it. Fear. For years she had feared him. Now he feared her. She walked toward him. You chose me because Silver Hollow's heir made Mooncrest's claim look legitimate. Sebastian said nothing. You delayed our mating because you didn't want me strong enough to challenge you. Silence. When I found the ledger, you rejected me so no one would believe me. His face twisted. You always asked too many questions. Evangeline nodded. That may be the first true thing you've said. A few wolves laughed. Sebastian snapped. Enough. He reached for her wrist. Lucian moved. Evangeline was faster. She caught Sebastian's hand. Twisted. He dropped to one knee. The hall erupted. Not because she hurt him, because she did not need Lucian to do it for her. Sebastian looked up. You were nothing before me. Evangeline released him. No. Her voice became quiet. I only believed I was. Alpha Harlan stood. Sebastian looked at him. Sebastian looked at him. Harlan. Harlan removed the Mooncrest Alliance pin. My pack withdraws from your challenge. Another Alpha stood. So does mine. Then another. The coup collapsed. Seraphine backed toward the doors. Gideon's guards surrounded her and Magnus. Sebastian's warriors entered the hall. Everyone expected an attack. Their captain looked at Sebastian, then at Evangeline. He dropped to one knee. My lady. Another followed. Then dozens. Sebastian stared. Stand. No one moved. I said stand. The captain looked up. You ordered us to hunt our future Luna after poisoning her. You obey me. Not anymore. Lucian stepped forward. Sebastian looked at him. If you're going to kill me, do it. Lucian studied him. No. Sebastian laughed bitterly. Mercy? No. Justice. He looked at Gideon. Take Sebastian, Magnus, and Seraphine into custody. Sebastian stared at him. You think a trial makes you better than me? Lucian answered. No. Then he looked at Evangeline. It just keeps me from becoming you. Before Sebastian reached the doors, Evangeline spoke. Sebastian? He turned. You rejected me because you thought losing you would destroy me. She touched the silver mark at her neck. It didn't. He said nothing. It introduced me to myself. The doors closed, and for the first time in 20 years, Silver Hollow had a voice again. With Sebastian exposed, one dangerous problem still remained. Lucian refused to end the council with Sebastian's arrest. He returned to the center of the hall. Tonight exposed more than 3 criminals. No one spoke. It exposed a law that protected power better than people. One elder frowned. The sacred mark law prevents kings from stealing mates. And it should prevent coercion, Lucian said, but that is not what happened. He pointed toward Evangeline. She was rejected, poisoned, cast out, hunted. Then I was told the law required me to watch her die rather than interfere. Silence. That is not protection. Evangeline stepped beside him. Rejection can end a bond. She looked around the room. It cannot end a person's rights. Several wolves nodded, others did not. Lucian continued. From tonight, no rejected wolf loses pack protection because a mate bond ends. An elder stood. And if an alpha rejects a future Luna, she keeps her rights and rank until lawful review. Another asked, and marking. Lucian looked at Evangeline. A mark without consent is a crime. The room went still. A life-saving mark given with consent is not theft. The vote took hours. Not everyone agreed, but when the final tally came, the old law was gone. After the chamber emptied, Lucian found Evangeline beneath the silver hollow crest. You did that, he said. We did. No, I gave them a reason to look. You gave them the truth. She studied him. You really would have surrendered the crown. Yes, without knowing whether the ledger would arrive. Yes, that was reckless. So I've been told. She laughed softly. Then her expression changed. What happens to the mark? The healers say your wolf is stable, so it can be removed, yes. The word hit harder than she expected. Lucian saw it. The decision is yours. Again, choice. And if I remove it, you remain Silver Hollow's heir. You owe me nothing. And if I keep it, it remains what you choose it to be. Evangeline looked at him. What do you want? For once, Lucian had no quick answer. Finally, he said, I want you to make one decision that has nothing to do with fear, debt, Sebastian, the council, or me. And if that decision is to leave, I open the gates. That answer should have made leaving easy. It didn't. Now Evangeline faced the choice nobody could make. Evangeline stayed, not because of the mark, because Silver Hollow needed rebuilding. Families returned, then warriors, then children. Lucian never asked her to become Luna. The council asked, the packs whispered. Gideon finally lost patience. One morning he found Lucian alone. Are you planning to wait another 20 years? Lucian looked up. For what? Gideon stared at him. My king, sometimes I understand why diplomacy takes so long. Lucian almost smiled. She just escaped a man who treated a bond like ownership. Yes, so I will not turn freedom into another deadline? Gideon nodded. Annoyingly reasonable. 3 months later, Evangeline found Lucian in the training yard. I've made my decision. Lucian put down his sword. About Silver Hollow? About the mark. He went still. The healers can remove it tomorrow. Yes. I told them no. Lucian said nothing. Evangeline smiled. You could pretend this is surprising. It is. Your face disagrees. My face has survived wars, clearly. Then she became serious. I spent years believing being chosen by an alpha gave me value. Lucian listened. Then Sebastian rejected me, and I thought that meant I had none. She touched the silver mark. You saved my life with this. Lucian started to speak. She stopped him. But that's not why I'm keeping it. He waited. You gave me something Sebastian never did. What? My no mattered to you. Lucian's expression changed. So did my yes. She took his hand. The mark was your choice when you saved me. She placed his hand over it. Keeping it is mine. Lucian's breath caught. Then he asked, and what are you choosing? Evangeline smiled. You. Months later, the packs gathered again. No trial. No army. No blood challenge. Silver Hollow stood restored. Its people chose Evangeline as their alpha. Only then did Lucian stand before the kingdom. Not to claim her. To ask, Evangeline Hawthorne, will you stand beside me? She looked at the man who found her dying in the snow. The king who risked his crown. The alpha powerful enough to take almost anything, yet kept giving her the right to choose. Yes. And when she became queen, no one called her Sebastian Sterling's rejected mate. They called her Evangeline Hawthorne, Alpha of Silver Hollow, Queen of the United Packs, the woman who lost everything other people used to define her and discovered none of it had ever been her worth. The story returned to where it began. 1 year later, Evangeline returned to the same snowy clearing with Lucian. She remembered lying there, cold, poisoned, listening to rogues circle the trees, believing Sebastian's last words. No pack will take you, no alpha will want you, no wolf survives after losing everything. She had believed him. Now Silver Hollow lived again. Rejected wolves could no longer be thrown beyond pack borders because someone stronger decided they were disposable. Lucian stopped beside the frozen stream. I thought I found someone who needed saving. Evangeline looked at him. And? I was wrong. She raised an eyebrow. Careful, people might hear you, he smiled. I found someone who reminded me what the crown was supposed to protect. Evangeline looked down at the snow. This place used to feel like the end. And now? She looked toward the trees. Now I know it was the beginning. Lucian reached toward her, then stopped. Even after a year, even after the vows, he waited. Evangeline placed her hand in his. Years later, wolves told the story differently. Some said Lucian broke an ancient law. Others said he nearly started a war for his enemy's rejected mate. But Evangeline always corrected one part. Lucian saved her from the snow. That was true. He gave her time, protection, a choice. But the woman who stood up afterward, the woman who faced Sebastian, the woman who reclaimed Silver Hollow, that woman was not rescued. She returned. Because sometimes rejection does not prove you are worthless.